Hey guys, some of you know me, some of you probably don't. My name's Brandon Rice. I work at the museum as a volunteer, and I teach First Family Saturdays also whenever they need me. But I'm also a Troy University student, and I do art, of course, because what else would I be on this video for? Because of quarantine, it kind of messed up some people's schedules, and I was asked to do this video for you guys. So I chose to teach you guys about gesture drawing, and what gesture drawing basically is, it's a way of drawing the human body, not really even a way of drawing the human body, it's a way of studying the human body through drawing. And what it does is it helps you to capture emotions, it helps you to emphasize movements, it helps you to do all these things. So whenever you actually make a finished piece of art, the people are more fluid, they're more interactive, they're not just these stagnant, boring statues. Figure drawing is never meant to actually be like a finished product. Some people actually have their figure drawings and gesture drawings up and like in museums, but it's usually not that common. But what a gesture drawing is a gesture drawing is a study. It's not a finished piece. It's not meant to be polished. It's not meant to be beautiful. It's meant just to be there to inform you how you see the world and how you see these figures and how to improve upon these figures. But in this video, I'll show you guys tips like the bean, I'll show you line of action, some other things, and this will help you guys see the way of drawing people, and it'll make it a little bit easier for you because each little muscle, each little tendon, each little bone can get overwhelming a lot of times. I promise we're about to start drawing, but so basically that's all that you really needed to know before we actually get to drawing. If you want to follow me on Instagram, that's my art account. You can follow me at little @ Brandon, BRANDON _ 7423, and you can see all the art I do there with my fine art, like this dude in the background. He's the most recent one, but he's still not finished. Or you can follow my comic book, because like even while I'm drawing on pages and it takes a lot to get a comic done, I use the Instagram to let people know how it's going along and how far I'm getting and things like that. So basically, that's about all we need to talk about, and we're about to start drawing. So the bean is this tool that is used to really capture the whole movement of the body in an easier way without knowing the anatomy, because it basically takes the two main masses, the rib cage and the hips, and puts those together and kind of makes this bean shape, which hence the name. And so basically with this, you'll get to really understand how the body moves in an easier way besides knowing every individual thing. Even with this, you'll see in a second when I start drawing that how the bean compromises the torso and the hips and how it fully is encompassed. Even with this picture of my nephew, you could really see how the bean uses the rib cage and the hips, and really uses that bent over look to really capture his movement in there, and you can use that to even exaggerate that even more and to go more in depth with it. With these next two, the bean's not the best, but I just wanted to show a quick example of how a forward-facing torso can be used with the bean. The whole point of the bean is there's usually this one side that's more curved and one side that's more curved in, which usually gives you this whole aspect of the spinal cord. And the body really plays with this whole give and take type deal. You can see that in my body that I drew and the one of my nephew that you're seeing now. It really has that give and take of both sides. You can even draw your pets using the bean method. So the first full body thing I'm going to show you how to draw is this drawing of my grandmother, and I'm going to actually use the bean to start off with to kind of get her torso in place like I showed you. And those slanted lines are used because those are her shoulder bones and her hip bones, and they're usually always going in the opposite direction of each other. That's just a cool thing to know. The arms are made up of cylinders, which is why I drew them that way with the little balls at the end to show the joints of the elbows. But the more you get with gesture drawing, the more you'll get to understand the way the body moves, the way it functions, and you just get a good overall understanding of it. Although this is a front-facing bean just like the one of my grandmother, this one is a little bit more of a forced perspective along with the legs and the way the torso is, and that is really how you see the bean is used in this. But you can continue drawing on this, continue building on the bean, and more you understand about anatomy and the more you understand about gesture, the more this will become an easier thing to do, and it'll become more natural for you. But it's just something you got to practice, and each one of these is just basically being able to show you how the bean can be built upon. So basically you see with even my nephew, that little curve I talked about earlier, I really just used that bean shape to get this drawing done in a super fast and effective way. His shoulders are still being used and the hip opposite is still being used. But drawing people can be intimidating, but really all you gotta think about is all the basic shapes that make up the human body, such as circles for the head, the bean for the body, even the rib cage is made more of an oval. And these lines and all this other things that I'm drawing is just a way to simplify the body as a whole. But you can practice this with drawing your friends, your family, your pets, whatever you want to do. And it might not look perfect in your eyes at first, but the more you work on it, the more you practice, the more you start to understand anatomy, and the more you can start to draw people from just memory and not have to have any kind of reference. But reference is good to use at all times, and really just keep on practicing and you'll be great at it. This is a side note. The top of the ear marks the eyebrows and the bottom of the ear marks your nose, and it's just a cool thing to know about the body in general.